Hello everybody, welcome to our demonstration of the processing power of the ARK system. We're going to show you how our design maps in here, and you can see how these items all come through very straight in a very simple and straightforward manner. So this is our front screen, okay, and what you do is you have to change these items over here. This is our system, and that will go up here, and then these modules all have a different thing, and they change the thing. So if I go here now, if I look at cash book, it'll change. If I change debtors, it'll change. If I change creditors, we're going to come back here to reports. Now what we want to do is we want to go and look at the fundamental way in which ArkZen works. So I'm going to click on here on something called the population summary. Let's go into the population summary, and here we have him. Okay, right. Now, in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, if you'll bear with me, I'm just going to refresh this because I want to start with the original system. Population summary. Okay, so we've got our 600,000 there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, what I have here is each business transaction type has its own table, and we call these population tables. So for each one, he has his own. So any journal, doesn't matter how big or how small, it has a table. So, and these tables have numbers like here 121, 132, etc. So we've numbered all the tables. And now in a small business, you might have 20, 30, 40. In a big business, you could have 120. Okay, could actually get up to that, but not much more than that. That's about the maximum size that we'll get, even in a good big conglomerate with lots of different factors coming through. So you have different types of, got tax transactions and offshore and intercompany and various things like that. Even when you've got lots of different types of transactions, they will come together, and you only end up with you'll be very few will break 100, in fact, and your normal small business will vary between about 20 and about 40 at a maximum. So now what we've done, you can think of each one of these lines as like a sort of a rack. Okay, so there's the sales, there's the sales transactions, there's the cost of sales transactions, purchases transactions. So the transactions of a particular type all get accumulated for the month, and we have a series of mini apps where the people will fire this off. Now, we like to use interns for the most part, but occasionally you have to use other people. We might use the supervisor, for example, to record the time of the employees, okay, particularly where they're subject to overtime. So then we can record those time on a daily basis. That will come through to us, and then we can calculate the overtime, and that will go through to the payroll system. Okay, so we do have other people. Okay, so what we're having a look at it now, what we're saying is, by doing it on this thing, we've got each column within one of these populations, okay, where applicable, is given a binary journal entry. So if we look at our sales, let's just go here quickly and have a look at our sales. If I go back to debtors and I go back to sales, okay, here we go. And now I've got my list. In this case, I've got 140, and there's my sales. So I've got my sales transactions for a given month, okay, and this was a big one that we were doing at a point, okay. So now I'm going to come out of there, but that's what it looks like, okay. So now I want to come back to reports here and go back to our population summary, okay, and so we can come back into here now, okay. So that's what we're getting. We're getting the actual population will come through from there, and a particular column has a binary entry, so it's debit, debtors, credit, sales. The VAT column is debit, debtors, credit, VAT. Okay, so we have those journals coming through. Binary journals will actually cover everything that you need. So let's go and have a look at our journals now for this particular situation. There are our journals, and we've got 25 journals. Okay, this is all the journals that have been allocated. Not all of them are actually got values for this particular month. Okay, come back to here. Okay, now I can look at my trial balance. Now these items are instantly available. The moment I click on population summary, this whole calculation is done for trial balance, income statement, balance sheet. They're all available. Okay, so we have that. We can see this is balanced, and then these two match. We use a concept of active and passive. We don't use debit and credit. The reason for that is that we can get some very good value by doing it like this. For example, all the income statement items are in the passive column. The bank is in the passive column. I should actually see that. Where is it? Bank. Can't see the bank at the moment. Oh, there's the bank. There we go. There's in the passive column. There we go. And so I should actually see that quite easily. Okay. And so I've got all that information, and now I can go and look at my income statement, balance sheet. Income statement, balance sheet. There's the income statement. We have a loss of 91,000. Okay, go back to the balance sheet. Okay, and I can see exactly what's coming through. It's 3901, balances to 3901. So, and that's totally instant. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to run a simulation. Okay, we want to go and simulate this, and you can play around with this. Now, the beautiful thing is that you can make these changes and play around with these numbers. Okay, so that you can see precisely what your company would look like. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to here and go to forecasting. I'm going to go to the accruals forecasting. Okay, so here we go. And this is a set of parameters. We're putting in a value, a base number that we want for the month, and then a count. And it will generate a dummy set of transactions. So this becomes very useful from a forecasting point of view. We can see what this is. Now, if you apply the right parameters, you can come out with a list of items that simulates one of your companies precisely or very, very closely. So I'll give you a tremendously accurate feel. This is what the data is going to look like. And literally, it's indistinguishable. Apart from the fact that these numbers can't be substantiated and these ones can, okay, it'll look almost the same. It'll give the same sort of values, the same volume, etc. for each one, each class of transaction. Okay, so you can see that. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run that one. I'm going to run this item here, and you'll see it's instant. I go F9 and it's done. Okay. And now I'm going to come back to my population. Now let's go and have a look at the population here. Now this is the population that we've just derived from doing the F9 key. Now let's have a look at my journals. Now the journals have all updated as well, so I can see just what's happening with my journals. And now I can come back to my trial balance, okay, and I can see what's happening here. Okay, here I can just take that through like that, and this time I've got a profit of 61,000. Okay, now let's go and look at the income statement. Okay, and the income statement says 61,000. There are my different numbers. Okay, balance sheet. Now it's you can literally update this thing in a matter of minutes. Okay, so it's in fact not even minutes. You can actually do it in seconds. So it really is incredibly fast, and it shows that you've got this relationship between putting the data into the particular slots, because that's part of a fabric. You can call it, we think of it as part of a fabric. So you've got your population summary with the journals coming off of here, and then they will go through, and then the journals go through the income statement, balance sheet. So it becomes so simple. It's instant to actually be able to produce your accounts. Okay, and we believe that this is proof of our concept. You can go and change this, get it to what you want to look like, one of your companies, and you'll see they just come through instantaneously. And then what we've done by doing it like this, we've reduced the workload. The workload is very tiny. We can justify that. You'll see we use interns, very cheap staff. Okay, in America they're free. And here what we're going to actually do is just plug in certain numbers and populate these tables for the month. We can see this all the time, and if you have a local bookkeeper, both of us can see. We can see it and they can see it, so we can monitor that these transactions are going to accurately get to the end of the month, and we sign them off. And then those 25 journals, that's the only journals we process. If I come back and look here, I don't process journals during the course of the month. I get to this point, I sign off the set of journals. Okay, I've got 25 journals, in fact, excluding the ones that have got 0, so probably down to somewhere in the region of about 18. And those 18 journals, that's what moves my income statement, balance sheet. That's what moves my accounts from opening to closing. So I've got those numbers in there, and it makes it very, very simple. Okay, so now imagine if you have a small group of companies, okay, and you've got 20 of these. You can bounce from anyone to anyone, and you can see exactly how all these things, everything is clear, everything is simple. You can see exactly what's going on. Okay, thank you very much.